What up? What up? What up, everybody? Welcome to a Saturday edition of Garden City Media, aka Garden City Mets, because that's what we're dealing with tonight. Uh, there's a lot to talk about. I don't know where I want to start. I actually don't even know where to start, but I have a lot to say. And I just don't know where to even start with this Mets team. I don't know who's running the team. I believe that David Stearns has full autonomy. I believe that. I truly do. But see, after seeing what Cohen wrote, whether that was a jab at the fans or whether that was a jab at the Post, you could take it however you want. I am not offended. I could care less. He's the owner of the team. And as far as I'm concerned, he could say whatever the hell he wants. And he should. But to me, so far, and I think you guys would probably most agree with me, this offseason up to this point has been a failure. Let's be perfectly honest. Now, you're going to turn around and you're going to say, Eddie, it's December 21st or whatever it is. Take it easy. Relax. David Stearns has a plan. Okay, fine. But that's not what's getting me. What's getting to me is, what are the Mets exactly doing? The biggest need for this team was starting pitching and lineup help, and obviously help in the bullpen. They've addressed one area of help, the bullpen. The bullpen, to me, is fine. But right now, I don't know whether to say if this team is failing. Are they failing in what they're doing? Because it's not like a resounding, there's nothing resounding around this team. But what have we done, or what has the organization done to get better? And right now, I think the Mets and the organization is sort of failing. But they're failing not loudly, but very quietly. Quietly. And I think that's a dangerous thing. Now, I don't know what they're going to do. But they've already passed on a bunch of guys who would have upgraded this team. And at this point, to this day, you can't say there's one single disastrous, move to this point in the season. Nothing's been a disaster so far. Now, it hurts that Edwin Diaz is gone. It hurts that Pete Alonso left. And it hurts that we lost Nimmo's bat. That hurts. But there hasn't been anything else besides that. Okay, there's been the Polanco signing. Sure. Do you want to tell me that's a good signing? I could live with it. But is that enough? Obviously it's not. I mean, who agrees that the Polanco signing is enough? It's not. Where's the trade that we really need? The trade for a starting pitcher, an elite starter at that. From all things out there, they're saying that Skubal is available. Maybe the cost is too high. I don't know. But supposedly that's the move. that the Mets are in on Skubal. But there's been no signings where you could circle it in red ink and say, that's it. That's the guy. We're on the right track. What we're watching is this an extremely slow-moving offseason with names coming off the board every day almost. Now, the big names haven't moved, but the smaller names have. There's 2 days left if you want to go out and get Murakami. Michael King is off the board. Michael King fit every single thing we were trying to do. Short-term deal, high AAV, top of the rotation. So, again, to me, what we're watching is sort of unsettling. It's unsatisfying. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? What, David Stearns, what are you doing? And I don't mean to get on this dude. I don't. I want to give him his chance to make a team. But there's a time limit on certain guys. There's a time limit on Okamoto, who to me is a perfect fit. Okamoto, if you don't know, go on my page and just look at his highlights. This is a dude with 30 home run power, hit 30 or more home runs in Japan 6 seasons in a row. Last year he was hurt. And this guy Okamoto has won 3 Gold Gloves. 2 at third and 1 at first. And the last Gold Glove he won was in 2024. He didn't win it this past season because he was hurt. And he only played 69 games. You have to January 4th to sign Okamoto. Where's the urgency? Okamoto's 29 years old. He's a team captain, Gold Glover, 30-plus home run power. Why are we not looking at this guy? Why have we not signed him? Is there that much competition for it? I'd like to know. I mean, he fits and checks off box after box. There's no clarity with this team. And we're a franchise with every possible advantage. And so far, yes, we addressed the bullpen. But to me, those are half-measure moves because we had to address the bullpen. It had to be done. And we did it. And so far, so good. I got no complaints about the bullpen. But look at the rest. Look at the rest of the team. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. This roster doesn't reflect a team that even believes in itself right now. You mean to tell me that David Stearns believes in this roster right now? Or Steve Cohen believes in this roster right now? They both don't. There's not one of you out there that believes this is a playoff team right now. Not one of you guys. Maybe there is. If there is, tell me about it. Tell me that you believe that this is a playoff team. But baseball is a sport where it starts and ends with the rotation. In a sport where October is decided by starting pitching. It's also decided by bullpen too. But how do you set the tone in October? You set the tone by aces, by number 2s, starting off the game and shutting down the other team for 5 or 6 innings. That's how October's decided. And the Mets Instead of focusing on getting some dominant players in here, dominant starting pitching, dominant, bats. Lost out on Schwarber. Pete's gone. Goodbye. Why? Why have they not addressed this? We're all familiar with what's out there. There's a ton of players out there that are good. Well, you're familiar with the names. You're familiar with the arms. We know who they are. But the Mets right now are a team that's just, to me, in the wind. Just kind of hanging out there, letting things happen, and not being aggressive. We need a front-end starter. When I heard the news of Michael King, I said to myself, why didn't we get that guy? 3 years, $75 million. I called his number. And I was disappointed. And people wrote to me and they said, well, Eddie, you're going to lose 2 draft picks if you sign Michael King, and you might only get 1 year out of him. And I thought to myself, okay, well, that makes some sense. However, who cares? Supposedly, the Mets have the best farm system in baseball. So what do you care about losing a 3rd round and a 5th round pick? Why does it even matter? This division is not going to get any easier. The Phillies are still the best. Atlanta's going to come back stronger. They got off to that horrible start and they never recovered. They're going to get their guys back. Already on paper, those teams you could say are better than the Mets. And I haven't even brought up the Dodgers. So far, the Mets have bought in a bunch of maybes and a collection of ifs. Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, Jorge Polanco. Now, I know they're not names that jump off the board. I get it. But are we any better with these guys? The answer is no. And I was okay with the Devin Williams signing. I really was. I was okay with the Luke Weaver signing. I was. That's not my concern. I think that Stearns actually addressed the bullpen where he needed to. But we lost the best closer in baseball. And Devin Williams is here, and Edwin Diaz is up here. That's a pretty big gap. And it's one thing if Edwin Diaz went to, the Chicago Cubs or, I don't know, even the Yankees. But he went to the best team in baseball. And he made them even better. So it's a big loss. Edwin Diaz is probably the best closer in Mets history. Matter of fact, he is. When have we ever had a guy that was that automatic? Never. Never. So, again, I don't know what the strategy behind this team is. Like, what are we doing? We needed leadership. That was clear. So we brought in Marcus Semien. But you brought in a player that's on the downside of his career. Yes, he could field. Yes, he run prevention. But he's not a 25, 30 home run guy anymore. He's just not. Now, is he a good second baseman? He's a damn good second baseman. But he really didn't make your lineup better because you lost Nimmo for him. So again, I don't know what the strategy is. And I think that's what's pissing most people off. Give me 1 second. I think that is what's pissing off most of this fan base. Now I get the Bobbies of the world, and I get a lot of the Joes and Clark, and they're doom and gloom, and they say we're done and we're finished. I get those people, and I understand it. Because sometimes I wake up and I say to myself, God, this team is garbage. After the fourth or fifth batter, who can I trust in this lineup? Who can I trust in this rotation? Who's out there? You want to say McLean? Sure, okay. But let's be realistic. This guy pitched, 70 innings for us? And we're just going to make him into a number one starter? Isn't that a little hopeful? Isn't that a little overly optimistic? And this rotation is absolute garbage. It's really, it's question mark after question mark. We need innings eaters. We need an ace. We need a frontline starter. And you just passed on a guy that got 3 years for $25 million a year. The same money, may I remind you, that you're paying Sean Manaea and Michael King. There's no depth in this rotation. There's nobody that insulates this thing. We have Kodai Senga, a guy who, when he's going, is excellent. However, he gets hurt, or he's a half-season pitcher, whatever you want to call it. So to me, either you keep him and get him right, which I'm perfectly fine with, because he's got a lot of upside. However, you need to sign another pitcher because he needs 6 days rest in between starts. So what exactly are we doing? What am I waiting for? What am I not seeing? We're one injury in that rotation for it to go up in flames. Seriously. One guy goes down in that rotation and the Mets are fucked. Think about that. Think about if Clay Holmes gets hurt for an extended period of time. What happens? You say, Eddie, okay, we'll pitch Jonah Tong, or we'll pitch Sproat. Okay, fine. Sure. But these guys are no guarantees. These prospects, I hate to say this, but it's true. Prospects are suspects. We need a front-end starter. We need a middle-end starter on top of that, too. We need an innings eater. We need a guy, a long man still. A guy that you could put in the rotation and take out of the rotation. Now, I think actually David Stearns will be able to do that. I think he may be able to find that on like a minor league level kind of contract. It's not a big deal. But this rotation, it scares me. Because outside of McLean, there's no guarantee. None of them are a guarantee. What do you think of Manaea? Do you think he's going to go back to 2024? Or does he go back to being who he always was? A fourth, fifth starter. Middle of the rotation guy. Back end of the rotation guy. And if that happens, I think the Mets are in trouble. Big trouble. I hate to say this, but 2024 was one of the worst things that could have happened to the Mets. Because it gave them hope that we were this close, but in reality, we were this far away. We were further away than we thought. It was a magical run. It was great. But at the end of the day, it was a failure. And it boiled over into last season. And we saw the way that season ended. Actually, we saw the way it began. We had high hopes. 21 games over 500 on June 11th. And then everything just crashed down. It was like the slowest collapse / burn in history. Sucked. So where do you go? Do you look at Ime or Amaya? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Why not look at him? 27 years old. Supposedly has a small frame. That's what they're saying about him. But to me, his numbers in Japan are outstanding. Now, he's going to get a lot of money. And he's probably going to get a lot of years. But we saw what Yamamoto was for the Dodgers. He's a little bit younger, 2 years younger. But they said the same thing about Yamamoto that they're saying about Ime or Imai. I don't know how to pronounce it. He has a small frame. It might not translate. I think that's horseshit. If you put enough seasons together in Japan where you're consistent, to me, that's enough that you will be good. Good to great in the major leagues. So why are we not looking at this Ime? Or are we? I wish we had some sort of transparency. I wish I knew that we were more in on players. I just wish. And I understand the Mets aren't going to do that. And I get it. But the Mets are taking a huge gamble right now. They're rolling the dice on bringing back this rotation and plugging it in with kids. The goal here is to be competitive, to compete for a playoff spot. If you're rolling out kids in this rotation outside of McLean, you're taking a gamble. I want the kids to come in comfortably, not to have pressure on them like they did last year. We don't need that. We need top of the rotation pitchers. And then you get to this lineup. And this is where the disconnect becomes impossible to ignore. So the top of the lineup on paper can scare you. We still got Soto, still got Lindor, added Marcus Semien, Brett Beatty, Jorge Polanco. That's not a bad 4 or 5 batters. It's not bad. But who's to say Brett Beatty will have another good season? He's been up and down his whole career. Same with Mark Vientos. But after that top of the lineup, and once you get past those marquee names, the lineup literally falls off a cliff. Spots 5 through 9 are a nightly invitation for opposing pitchers to fucking cruise. 5 through 9, or let's call it 6 through 9, because I'm going to give Beatty the benefit of the doubt here. 6 through 9 gives opposing pitchers an absolute. It's like a layup in basketball. They're not scaring anybody. 6 through 9, nobody. And there's no sustained pressure. There's no grinders there. There's no contact guys, like high contact batters. There's not. It's a lot of all or nothings. If you want to say McNeil isn't all or nothing, okay, fine. But the Mets aren't going to make you earn 27 outs because they have so many holes in this lineup. Great teams, the teams with the great lineups, they suffocate you. They grind. They fucking foul the ball off. They make long at-bats. Our 6 through 9 doesn't do that. And that's an area, to me, we have to address. I'm not comfortable with putting Mark Vientos out there. I'm not. I'm not even comfortable with Brett Beatty. We need outside help. Now, you don't want to sign Murakami? Fine. But I just read an article about Murakami, and they're comparing his power to Kyle Schwarber. We just lost the greatest power hitter in our history. Why aren't we in on him? I don't think this guy's going to cost you $35 million a year. I don't think he's going to cost you 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. He's not. Yes, he profiles as a DH. But if that's the case, and you want, run prevention, then go after Okamoto. Gold Glover, like I said. Gold Glover, team captain, leadership. 30 home runs in 6 straight seasons. What am I missing? And the guy is 29, and he's not going to require 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. No. Probably you could probably get Okamoto on a 3 or 4 year deal at $20 million. Maybe even less. I'm going to say Okamoto is going to get 5 years, anywhere from 85 to 95 million. So what's that? At the high end, 19 million a year. At the low end, 18. You're telling me that's not a good signing? Shout out to my guy, Jerry. Appreciate you. Shout out to my guy, State, reposting. Jerry. Eddie, I just hope the big offseason deal wasn't the casino for Steve Wilpon. Jerry, I hope not either. I hope not. But I do think Steve Cohen is pissed off. I do. But where I'm at right now, right this second, I just want to fix the lineup. I am not asking the world from the New York Mets. I'm not asking them to spend $500 million. I'm not asking them for a $400 million payroll. I'm just saying make us competitive. If you want to do run prevention, no problem. If you want to do run prevention, give me Okamoto. He checks all your boxes. First base, can play third, can play the outfield, and he was a team captain. After we broke up this core, we're going to need all the leadership in the world, and that's why Okamoto fits. You have till January 4th to sign him. So about 2 weeks, give or take. But what else does this lineup need? What else do you need? To me, you need grinders. You need guys that can grind out at bats. If you want to go the platoon route, I have no problem with that. None. Zero. Let me see what my guy Jerry said. Where does our current payroll rank in the league? We're second. We're second, Jerry. But what I'm trying to get at is you cannot tell me that this lineup, 5 through 9, is a playoff lineup. It's not. Where are you getting the power from? Where are you replacing that Pete Alonso power? You tried to get Kyle Schwarber, he didn't come. So now you have a choice. Do you get Murakami and just put him in as a DH? Left-handed DH that's got, according to, The Athletic, this guy has Kyle Schwarber power. So we offered Schwarber $30 million a deal. Why not go out and get Murakami, give him 5 years or 6 years, and give him $30 million or $25 million? He's 25. This, to me, either one of those guys are no-brainers. And they scare opposing pitchers. When you have a guy that hits 30 home runs or 40 home runs, pitchers think twice about what they're going to pitch you. They're not just going to give you a cupcake down the middle. It's going to be a tough at-bat. And we lost our guy who had the best fucking bat in Pete Alonso. And when I say the best bat, I mean like the exit velocity, the barrel rate, and all that stuff. Now, obviously, Juan Soto's the better player. But hitting-wise, power-wise, Pete was our guy. You got to replace it. Don't tell me Jorge Polanco is a replacement. Because he's not. He's a nice player. I don't know what he could do in the field. Maybe he'll surprise me at first base. I don't know. But we got to do something. Why not try to reimagine this lineup? What about a guy like Bo Bichette? What if you could get him? Now you're going to say, Eddie, what are you talking about, Bo Bichette? We just got Marcus Semien. Why do I want Bo Bichette? I'll tell you why I want Bo Bichette. The guy's 27. He's got a 290 career average or better, 293, I think. He's clutch. He's been consistently good. He's young. What's not to like there? You telling me Bo Bichette can't play left field? He's a shortstop. Of course he could play left field. And you may say, Eddie, well, if they want run prevention, Bo Bichette might be bad in the field. I don't think so. You might even be able to make a case that Bo Bichette is athletic enough to play center field. And what if you got that? Can you imagine if you got Bo Bichette in here and he's your left fielder or your center fielder? You imagine what that does to the lineup? You know how good that is? It's incredible. He's a guy you want, a grinder, proven playoff guy. Hit that huge home run that knocked out, what's his name? Ohtani. Shout out to my guy, John. Appreciate you hopping on. What up, my guy? Shout out to you. Shout out to Lisa. Shout out to everybody else here in the chat. Shout out to everybody on X. All you guys watching me. And I appreciate you guys. But what I'm trying to get at is, you're telling me that Bo Bichette wouldn't fit what we're trying to do? Now, you may say, Eddie, I think you're wrong. I think, Eddie, you're better off getting Cody Bellinger because Cody Bellinger could play center field and left field and first base. And you know what I'll say to you? No problem. No problem. If you feel that way, that's fine. I'm down with Cody Bellinger too. Because at the end of the day, they're probably going to get similar contracts. But to me, I'm starting to get on this Bo Bichette train. Because he's younger. Maybe you move him to third base. Oh, speaking of which, can he play third and package Beatty for a pitcher? Now, that's another idea. That's a damn good idea. Because I know one team that wants Brett Beatty. Matter of fact, I know two teams that want Brett Beatty. Two teams called up over the last off seasons and asked about Brett Beatty. The first one was the the Miami Marlins. And the second one was the Minnesota Twins. See where I'm going with this? Joe Ryan or Sandy Alcantara. Cody fits like a glove, but I see them giving him a long-term deal. And guess what, Jerry? Does Cody Bellinger not deserve a long-term deal? Of course he does. He's fucking 95th percentile in fielding. He's got like one of the best arms in baseball. You could plug him in at center, plug him in at first. There's a lot to like about Cody Bellinger. And if I had to guess, if we sign any big name, it's Cody Bellinger. But I'm telling you guys, look into Bo Bichette. Look into him. Because he's young and he's right-handed and he is built for the moment. He's built for New York. He's into fashion and he loves New York Chinese food. Yeah, like that. I saw an interview on TikTok. That's his favorite shit to eat. It's Chinese food from New York. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why he's going to sign in New York, obviously. But what I am saying is, let's kick the tires on this guy. Let's kick the tires. Because to me, Bo Bichette is almost like, he's like a light version of Fernando Tatis. He's like that kind of player. He's got a similar swing. He could put up 25 home runs, no problem. Now, where do you put him? That's the question. But, like John said, call up Miami. You like Brett Beatty? Okay. You like Mark Vientos? Okay. And you like one of our pitchers? Well, give us Sandy Alcantara. And I'll give you all 3 or 4. Add in another person. Now you have Bo Bichette at third and Sandy Alcantara topping off your roster. Are those 2 moves right there enough to say you're a playoff team? Maybe not. But I think that puts you over 500. Just adding Bo or Cody and adding Sandy Alcantara, I literally think just those 2 moves alone, nothing else, I think that puts you in play for the last wild card spot. Because let's be perfectly honest, the National League is weak. It's weak. And Johnny says, I'll go to war with that. So will I. You give me Cody or Bo, and then you hand me a Sandy. And I don't like Joe Ryan. I think he's more of a number 2, 3 type of pitcher. I don't think he's a number 1. I don't. He's coming off one good year. To me, he's been mid for most of his career. I think he's middle of the rotation. So that's why I'd rather Alcantara. Because I know Alcantara's front end. I know Alcantara's made for the moment. But I'm just asking the Mets to let's just go out and do some of this. And then you go out and you add a guy like Okamoto, who literally is not going to cost you the bag. You could probably get him on 4 or 5 years, probably 4 years, because he's 29. So you get him age 29, 30, 30, 31. That's not bad. He's still in their prime. And you got a Gold Glover at first base and third base if you want. Or you could plug this guy in the outfield. That's a move. And that's what I want to do. And my guy Brett in the chat says, go after Alcantara, go after Cody, and sign Murakami. All right, Brett, I'm with you. But are the Mets with us? Where are the Mets? Does David Stearns have full autonomy? I think he does. Because if Cohen was running things to me, he would have fucking signed somebody. He would have threw a bag at somebody. That's why I think Stearns is running. But we got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. And then let's talk about this. Let's talk about the defense. Have we even right now, as stands, no moves, have the Mets upgraded their defense? You want to say Marcus Simeon? Okay. But where was the defense the real problem? It wasn't the infield. It was the outfield. Left field, right field. Now, Soto's not going anywhere. But one thing the Mets said, and you have to listen when the Mets give you sound bites, you have to take them for what they're worth. They said we signed Luke Weaver because he's a fly ball pitcher, and that will play good in Citi Field. So when I heard that, I said to myself, they're going to go after a good defensive outfielder or two. So to me, by saying you want a fly ball pitcher, you want to improve your outfield defense. We have to improve center. We have to improve left. Cody, clear fit. Now, you want to tell me Bo Bichette? Sure. I mean, Bo Bichette is a shortstop. Usually the best athletes on a baseball team are at shortstop and center field. So there's no telling me that Bo Bichette cannot play left field. None. That guy will play left field probably very easily. And he'll probably be a really good outfielder. But what are we doing? What is the plan? Every night I come on here and I ask, have we made any changes? Should we be thinking differently? Should we go after some contact players? Should we go after guys that slug left-handed pitching? Because let's face it, we got killed by left-handed pitching over the last, I want to say since 2022, we've been getting killed from left-handed pitching. So to me, you got to counteract that. You got to bring in a guy that slugs lefties. And there's one guy out there that fits that. He's an outfielder, and he played in New York. His name's Miguel Andujar. And you might say, whoa, Eddie, who? Miguel who? You want him? I want him because I went on and I looked at his average. I think he hit lefties at a 350 clip last year with an almost 400 on-base percentage. So I'm okay with him starting against lefties, and he's not a bad fielder. He's okay, and he's got a very good arm. So how about you platoon him? We can't keep making the same mistakes year after year. We've been getting killed by left-handers for 4 or 5 years now. Time to counteract. Counterpunch. And then I ask myself this. Who is in charge? Who's running the Mets? I believe it's David Stearns. I truly believe it. But some people believe it's Cohen. Some people really believe that Cohen is behind everything. I don't think he is. Those statements alone that he said yesterday told me that he's letting Stearns cook. Now, Stearns hasn't been cooking. Stearns has been using the fucking microwave as far as I'm concerned. Cooking would be guys that are, like, no doubt. Michael King. There for the taking. $25 million. Can opt out after year one. That's a good 1-year investment to me. It feels like this roster is built to preserve, like, flexibility with young kids. That's the way I feel. I feel like it's a rebuild with kids to fortify everything, and that kids are the answers. And to me, I want to be competitive. I want to make the playoffs. I don't want to fucking be some 79 win team or 80 wins or even 83 and miss the play. I don't want that. I want to create a starting pitching staff that other teams fear. Okay? It doesn't, and again, it doesn't have to be a team of all-stars. It doesn't. Just give me one top end of the rotation guy. One. And then go out and get a second guy like a Tyler Mayhe or whatever. Like one of those guys. Innings eaters, high 3 ERA. That's fine. But be decisive about it. Make your moves with conviction. Why are we being so passive? I don't understand. Now, maybe this is just the way he operates. Maybe Stearns just thinks the team sucked. Or maybe he really believes in these kids. I don't believe in these kids. I don't think these kids are, besides McLean, is Jonah Tong an ace? No. Is Brandon Sproat an ace? No. So, what am I missing? I want, and all I'm asking for is just stability. And when you have a 7-game losing streak, I want it to end. We had 3 or 4 7-game losing streaks last year. 3 or 4. Do you want that again? Do you want to watch that nightmare that we watched in the second half again? I want this to be fun. I want us to be dangerous. I want us to be able to get behind and root for this team. And I'm sorry, I can't get behind Jeff McNeil, Francisco Alvarez, Mark Vientos, and Tyrone Taylor. I can't get behind that. That is not fun for me. That is asking for a disaster. That is asking to be mid. And you don't think other teams are just going to pitch around our first 4 guys or first 3 guys? You could get Jorge Polanco out. You get Brett Beatty out. And after that, it's all downhill. Jeff McNeil, Alvarez, Vientos, Tyrone Taylor. It's out after out. They don't even put the ball in play. They're mostly high strikeout guys. Be aggressive. Your lineup right now is bad. Your lineup right now is not a playoff lineup. It's not. My guy John says, didn't he say he needed to be more aggressive? He said it. But actions speak louder than words. And so far, what do we got? We got a good bullpen. I'll give Stearns that. Now, maybe we get another 1 or 2 guys there, or maybe put one of the kids there, whatever. But I'm okay with the bullpen. But I want to fix what we needed to fix. And that's starting pitching, and that's the lineup. That's what failed us. Quays, you got anything for me? Quays, you there? I guess not. Let me see. I was going to show you some highlights, but forget about it. Again, actions speak louder than words. That is with everything. That is with all of life. When is David Stearns going to act? Or is it going to be that Steve Cohen gets so embarrassed that he comes in and says, you know what? Fuck this. I'm taking over. I don't think he's going to do that, but you never know. He's acting in those tweets like he's embarrassed. He's acting like he's embarrassed. The Mets, unfortunately, it sucks. It sucks being a fan of this team. And I'll tell you why. It's because we're in the same city as the Yankees. The Yankees, no matter what, seem to make the playoffs almost every year. They used to have a bigger payroll than us always, but now that's changed. We have the higher payroll. So why are we not being aggressive? Like, there's guys that fit what you're trying to do, especially in free agency, especially on the Japanese market. So let's go out and pounce down. Imagine if you had a lineup with both Murakami and Okamoto. Those are two 30-plus home run guys. My guy Ches says, you can't preach run prevention and have Murakami, Polanco at first base. It's either Okamoto or bust, in my opinion. And Ches, let me tell you something. You're on the money. You are on the money. I cannot see Polanco going from being a subpar outfielder into being a plus first baseman. I can't see it. I could see that with Bo Bichette because he's 27 and he plays shortstop. Polanco's a left fielder. Maybe he does. But the move is staring the Mets in the face. Okamoto is staring at you right in the face. Go out and get him. He's not going to cost you the bag. And Steve Cohen didn't sound like he was going to be cheap. He sounded like he's ready to spend. Same as always. So what's the problem? Is it that David Stearns just doesn't believe in any of these guys? Does he not? I mean, does he not believe in Cody Bellinger? Cody Bellinger is like the same as Christian Yelich. He would be what Yelich was to the Brewers as what Bellinger would be to the Mets. It's almost the same type of player. Although I think Cody Bellinger is even better now. Back in the day, Yelich. What is the plan? What are we waiting for? I don't know. And the pitching, you think about the pitching, and right off the rip, you think about Peterson and you think about Senga. Two guys with all-star stuff, but two guys that are kind of one-half pitchers. To think you could count on those guys for 170 innings or more is reckless. And David Stearns even admitted that. We'll get to the interviews in a second. Let me just finish. So again, if you're going to run out a rotation with Senga and Peterson, you can't tell me that you're being competitive and serious to win. Because as good as those guys are when they're on, they are not reliable. We need reliability. We need innings. We need elite level pitching, starting pitching. And although those guys can be elite, the fact is they're not reliable. And that's what changes everything. So we'll see what we do. You mean to tell me that the Mets are going to rely on Sean Manaea to be a number 2 or 3 starter? I hope he is, because he was pretty damn good in 2024. But is that an outlier? Was that just a 1-year type of thing? Was that a career year? And now he reverts back to kind of who he always was? Question mark. Big question mark. And that's where I have a problem with this team. How are you supposed to win in October if you can't get there? You get to October with innings eaters. You get to October with guys that are consistently a tough out. Guys that give you more than 4 innings. That's how you get to October. That, a good bullpen, a good lineup, consistency. You don't get there with unreliable and injury prone and question marks. My guy Ches says, Bellinger scares me. I wouldn't trust giving him anything past 3 years, although we need a right-handed bat. You're 100% right, though, Eddie. Pitching. And then he goes on to say, I appreciate that. I think Bellinger's going to get at least 5 years. He's got to. I think it's going to end up. I think he ends up with 6. That's a big commitment. And I get it. And if you don't want to go there with him, you could pivot to Bo Bichette. Right-hander, athlete, right-handed power, clutch, good fit, likes New York, likes the big stage. Let's get to some of these interviews from yesterday. Go ahead, Quiz. I think they're the Christmas party or whatever. This is McLean. Can you restart that? I didn't hear that.
I don't know who Nolan is. I'm just an elf. No, but we got a special group with the Mets, and it's cool to be around all the guys every single day and just try to push each other to be better.
Yeah, replay it. I just want to hear the question.
What does that mean to you? I don't know who Nolan is. I'm just an elf. No, but we got a special group with the Mets, and it's cool to be around all the guys every single day and just try to push each other to be better.
All right. I mean, not much. Not much there. He's a competitor. He's a hard worker. But at the end of the day, we need more than Noah McLean. We need more. Yeah, let's go to this one right here. Let's go to this interview. Let's pull this up. Who is this? Is that Clay Holmes?
Conversations with Andy Pettit, the pitching coach, and he's just kind of gauging my interest and something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to play for a Team USA team. And when I saw that some of the build-up and the workload stuff would be pretty similar, for me it was an easy yes, and super excited to put the red, white, blue on and compete with those guys.
Why was it always important to you to play for Team USA?
I think it's just something that
it's an honor.
A competitor, as a baseball player, some of the best players that get to play for a Team USA team, or it's almost like a collaboration from some of the best players. So I think as a competitor, you want to be the best, and it's an honor just to be asked to be on the team with those guys.
How has your offseason been in terms of recovery just after throwing, a career high in innings last year?
It's been great. I ended the year like I feel like I was throwing well, physically in a great spot. So took my normal time off of throwing, a week or so, and got back in the gym. And so it's been very normal off season. It's been long. I'm ready to kind of get back going, but it's nice to be able to just build on what I was able to do last year, and it's been going well.
Obviously, a big story of this offseason was the departure of Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz. What was your reaction to the news of them signing elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, Pete and Nemo, they've been met for a long time. They've been really good. They're great people, great families, great players. So, I mean, it's always a little, a little bit of a shock. It's a little, sad seeing those guys go, just because of who they are and what they've meant to this organization. But as hard as that is, I think there's some exciting times ahead. I don't think that in the direction of the organization would kind of be going on without them if they didn't think it was something that was going to cause some growth and some better things ahead. So it's exciting to see that, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Obviously, Jeremy Hefner not with the organization anymore. What have your first impressions been of Justin Willard?
It's been great. I've had a couple phone calls with him already, and he's very knowledgeable. I think just his reputation. People know that he's very knowledgeable of just a lot of the new things that are in the game. So just be able to talk through those things with him. He's been willing to kind of to get to know me and get to know the staff, and so I think it's exciting to have him on board. He's done a lot with Boston, and I'm excited to see him be in the dugout and how he can really impact guys on a daily basis.
Thanks, Clay.
Thank you.
All right. There's Clay Holmes. Going to go pitch for Team USA. Obviously, I think we all have our trepidation with that, but I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine. That's an honor. And him and McClain are going to be pitching. Hopefully they stay healthy. Let's go to Steve Cohen's comments from yesterday. I'm going to re-go over that because I'm going to ask you guys all a question after this. I'm going to see if you stand with me or you disagree with me. Let's go. Can you bring that up a little bit because I can't read it? As typical, the idiots misinterpreting a post article on Mets payroll from 2026. I can't imagine our payroll to be lower than last year. It's always hard to predict, but that would be my guess. Okay. That was his first tweet. I think he's got another one, right? Didn't he say something else after that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he did, but all right. Well, this is what I was going to go into. And I'm going to ask all you guys this. And I want you to answer me yes or no. Or maybe you word it. What are the Mets in right now? Are we rebuilding? Are we retooling? Are we going for it? Are we going for the playoffs? Are we championship or bust? Obviously not.
All right.
But what are we? Because to me, right now, and again, I could be wrong, but judging by what Steve Cohen just said, I think we're in the midst of a retool. If we were rebuilding, I would think that we wouldn't be in on guys like Bellinger. We wouldn't be in on anybody. It would be shedding guys. McNeil, Lindor, gone. I think this is more of a retool. Now, you guys may disagree, but I think they're starting to retool this. The problem with this to me is that since it's not a rebuild and it's also not a team that's in contention, right now they're stalling. And stalling is kind of the last place you want to be. I mean, You're competing in a New York market against the Yankees, and you're stalling. Guess what? Those casuals that came last year are going to turn their attention to Yankee Stadium. I think the fan base sees it because we haven't been aggressive, right? So we're all kind of in this same kind of mindset, like, of okay, you guys are doing something, but what are you doing? What's the move? Is it kids? Okay, that's a rebuild. But then Steve Cohen comes out and says we're going to have a high payroll, just like every year. So it's mixed signals, right? But on the free agent market, we are stalling. Excuse me. And you could hear what Clay Holmes just said about losing Pete and losing Diaz. He kind of feels it. We feel it. And if this is how we go into the season, our opponents are going to know it. And they're going to kick our ass. And the fact is, right now, the Mets don't really have an identity. And I know it's early. I know we haven't completed the team. I get it. But as of now, the only identity the Mets have is a good bullpen. Or you could say, some may say solid bullpen. I think it's good. I think it's good to great. I think we made a lot of good moves. But in all the other factors, to me, it doesn't feel right. It feels like we're stalling. Now, maybe the trades, maybe the asking prices are crazy. I don't know. I could tell you what I heard. I've heard that Cody Bellinger wants to stay in New York, and it's between the Mets and the Yankees. But also he's a Boras client. And what do Boras clients do? They take the best deals. Quays, you got anything else for me? Let's see what else we got. Don't give me David Wright's happy birthday. No, thank you. No, thank you on David Wright.
All right, we've seen a couple of posts here in the last hour that the Mets could be making a big splash in the international market. What can you tell us about the player?
So
we got to get this up on the screen. I'm going to add it. There we go. All right, start it over.
I feel like I just want to reject that premise outright. I do not think the Mets are going in with $310 million. I do think they're going to be closer to $340 million. That being said, if we do want to play by those rules, $305 million, then obviously you're going to have to hit the trade market, which means maybe you're looking at getting rid of either a Brandon Sproat or a Joan Tong. You're probably going to need more of even though they have Jorge Polanco at first base, you kind of do want somebody more secure in that position. So maybe a low-cost budget option like a Carlos Santana or maybe
get the fuck out of here.
Really want to be talking about budget options right now when you're the richest owner in sports? I don't think that's going to happen. Sure, they can get Zach Gallen for maybe $45 million, 2-3 years, whatever. But when you have a Cody Bellinger out there, when you have other options out there, there's no reason to be penny pinching at this time. I mean, last year was a disaster. Spend money to fix it.
Steve Cohen is well aware of what the Mets went through a year ago. He's well aware of the fact that there are a lot of fans who are highly skeptical of the fact that Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso are not going to be a part of next year's team. Steve's smart enough to realize, David Stearns is smart enough to realize, hey, we are the New York Mets. We basically gave Juan Soto $1 billion. And to your point, I have a hard time believing the Mets and budget and financial constraints.
No.
You're telling me that's getting away of the Mets trying to field a championship caliber team? I have a very, very hard time believing that.
I agree. I completely agree. But let's be perfectly honest. The team is in a state of limbo. We don't have a direction. We don't have an identity. We lost the best closer in baseball. And we lost one of the best power hitters in baseball. So to me, we're at more losses than we are gains. Again, like I said, I think we're in a stall. Now, I don't know if that's because of the price of these players. I don't know if it's the price of other teams asking prices for starting pitching, which could be, or at the fact that it's just very early. But I'm going to say this. If you stall, you're going to be exploited. And if the Mets don't right their wrongs of last year, starting pitching lineup, we're going to be in a really bad predicament next year. Really bad. Again, the goal is to win a championship. That's every team's goal. But when you're a championship team, you move with a purpose, right? You move with a purpose. Make the team better at any cost necessary. Look at the Dodgers. Look at Toronto. Are they not moving with a purpose? Of course they are. Do they have their own identity? Absolutely. They declare who they want, and then they go out and get them, and then the Dodgers say, fuck you to everybody else. And then when you win like that, players take shitty deals to come to your team. So it would be in the Mets' benefit to build the championship contender. Because once you start winning, players come to you on the cheap. They'll fucking defer money. We watched this in LA. But the Mets right now, they look like they're a franchise still negotiating power dynamics instead of setting a championship standard. You have to set the bar high. If you're in it and you're close, go for it. I don't think we're that far away. I think you're 3 moves in a lineup and 2 starting pitchers away from being competitive for a wild card. That's not much. I'm not asking you to go out for the world. I'm not saying go out and get, spend all the money in the world. I'm not saying that. Go out and make a smart trade. Go out and make a smart free agent signing. Bring in younger people. Re-identify this team. Make a new identity. Until there's a real vision, until there's a direction, until there's accountability, really is the right word. This is going to be a cycle that repeats. Now, maybe they have a direction I don't know about it. Maybe they're in on 5 free agents and I don't know. But if I see Murakami come off the board to another team, and I see Akamoto come off the board to another team, I see Cody Bellinger come off the board, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, you have no direction. The New York Mets do have no direction whatsoever. Patience without direction isn't a strategy. It's surrender dressed up as restraint. That's what patience is. Maybe the owner's going to step in. Maybe they're in on these guys. I don't know. I hope they are. But right now, you can't tell me this team is a winning baseball team. It's not. And I hope, for all of our sake, that David Stearns goes out and proves us wrong. I hope he goes out and gets these guys. And who knows, maybe he does. I've never killed a guy. I do feel, though, he doesn't have a direction. With that said, I appreciate 300 plus of you coming in the room tonight. Shout out to everybody on YouTube that's in there. Go to Garden City Media on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Hit the like. Give me a fucking follow. I'm trying to build this up on YouTube. If you like this content, and I give it to you almost every day, whether it's Knicks or Mets, go to Garden City, CITI Media on YouTube and subscribe for me. With that said, let's go Mets. Let's hope for the best. And happy holidays to everybody. Take care, everybody. I'm out. Good night.